Welcome to Hollywood.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Now TV Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Catherine, and as always, I'm joined by Steve.
Hello.
Ben.
Hello.
And Corey.
Hey.
How are you all doing, guys?
Feeling good. It's Friday.
All right.
It's Friday. We've just come off of the 4-day weekend, which was lovely. What did you all get up to?
Went to the cinema.
Yep.
It was raining, so went to the cinema.
Yeah, it did rain a hell of a lot that weekend, didn't it? Yeah, I did nothing other than sit around and play computer games.
Well,
I went to Harvester twice. This is a confession that I haven't said to anyone. I actually went to Harvester twice in one weekend.
Nice.
Rinse the salad bar.
Yeah, because the first time I went, I got addicted to it, and then I had to go back to finish off. I didn't feel like I got
Harvester
enough free
addiction.
salad, so I went back, got more free salad.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know I've heard of this because when we were out, we talked about
Yeah.
it. I still don't know what it is.
I'll take you. No.
I don't.
No,
I'm
Catherine.
not
It's
sure I
not.
want
There's
to
one in
go.
Boston Manor. It's not
It's a
far.
treat.
I will
It's a
take
treat.
you up the
It's a
road.
treat.
Yeah.
To Harvester one day.
It's
Just
like
me and you.
food.
Yeah.
bar
It's like a
thing?
kind of like.
Is it an all-you-can-eat?
Like a pub food.
Yeah, it's like pub rib steak kind of place,
Hearty.
but not like hipstery cool with really nice flavors. It's like they haven't changed their menu for like 20 years, kind of thing.
Family.
Can I say that does not sound appetizing at all?
I don't care. We're done.
All right.
They do have an endless amount of blue cheese dressing. That's probably
I
one of
don't
the
like
reasons
blue
I love it.
cheese.
Are they paying you for this endorsement?
Yeah, it does sound like it's
If Harvester want to send me any free blue cheese,
Is that a Harvester t-shirt under that jumper? All right. So you went to the cinema, Steve. What did you watch?
I did. I went on over the Easter weekend. I went to see Isle of Dogs.
Isn't it brilliant?
I really liked it. Yeah,
It
because
was-
for a long time, like years ago, I was always kind of hit and miss with Wes Anderson's films. I love some of them, and then some of them just didn't quite land for me. But when Grand Budapest Hotel came out, I just fell in love with that film. I think it's a modern masterpiece. I think it's one of the best films in recent years. So when Isle of Dogs was announced, I thought I have to see this on the big screen. And it's just, it's great. And the animation is so good. It's just one of those films I would urge everyone to see at the cinema because every frame is just beautiful to look at.
It's so symmetrical, and the script is so clever and funny, and you just... Oh, it was a delight to watch. I did have to tell someone off in the cinema next to me because they were on their phone. Like, so they came in late.
Oh, no.
And then they...
making noise or came in silently?
No,
Like, I
came
need
in
to get the
came in
picture.
making a bit of noise. Then they sat down, but right next to me, even though there was space in this minute to sit somewhere else. First thing she did was got her phone out and then was like looking at it, and so it was already dark. The movie was already rolling, and so I just had this in the corner of my eye. Then she gets up, goes out to the candy shop or whatever it's called. I don't know.
It's not that. It's definitely not the candy.
50 cents.
I just had the song in my head. Sorry. The place where you buy the popcorn.
The candlestick
and stuff.
maker.
Yeah. And then she comes back, making all the noise, talks to her friend, gets her phone out, puts the phone away, watches like 2 minutes of the movie, gets her phone out again. It's like, oh my God, I cannot deal with this because it was just in the corner. It was so distracting. And it was ruining it because it was
No,
so
it's
beautiful.
the worst. It is the worst when that happens.
And so I then had to go, sorry, but can you please stop looking at your phone because it's quite distracting. I'm trying to watch the movie. She just
Said just like that, I imagine.
no, I think I said it a bit harsher than that, but not
Kick off.
bad.
Yeah.
I still said sorry, and you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and she just looked at me and stared at me, and I thought, oh my God, she's gonna punch me in the face. And then she didn't, and so I just turned and I could see her still looking at me in the corner, and I kept watching the movie, and then and she never looked at her phone again.
Oh, nice.
So it was quite good.
You'd like to think anyone, like, if you're in that environment and someone's watching a film, and all this kind of stuff, like, you always surely accept the kind of, hey, do you mind that? I know I know
don't
there's
think-
mental people, but...
I think it's becoming more and more thought to be acceptable to use your phone in cinemas. And I think it's not a good thing, but...
But it's like you've paid like 14 quid
Yeah,
to
it's-
watch a movie.
I can't understand it, but...
And you can't sit still for 2 hours, or wait, in the case of Isle of Dogs, an hour and 40 minutes, which is not a long time,
Yeah.
to not look at your phone, but to see
Yeah.
if some idiot has made an update to their status. Or
I find it
something.
more of
Yeah.
a surprise now when you go to a screening and it doesn't happen. It's just more, I kind of expect it now.
It distracts me everywhere.
Yeah,
Even if it's
not
far away in the
horrible, but
cinema,
The kind of-
you can see that
all over
light.
the place,
It's awful.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just rude. So
But so-
people, if you're looking at your phones in the cinema, stop. It
Something
just
else
shouldn't happen.
I'd be keen to know your screening, because when I went to see it, it was very mixed. You had the kind of clear Wes Anderson fans, kind of older couples with alcohol sitting there. And then you had families with young kids. And I was kind of worried because I thought, this is going to be very dry.
Yeah, it's
and
for those kids.
Very adult. And it is, but what I was impressed by is it seemed to work for everyone. No one, there was no walkouts. You could hear kids laughing and enjoying it. So I thought that was great. And I think with Fantastic Mr. Fox as well, that had a similar effect where it was quite dark, but it really worked with all ages. So
Yeah, so I was worried that it was going to be filled with kids because it was Easter weekend and it was an animation and it was just out, so I was worried. But there were no kids whatsoever. It was all adults, so they all seemed to be Wes Anderson fans. There was one person behind us who had a very loud laugh and laughed a lot. And my partner that I was with was like, because they're French, so not everything like kind of gets there from the comedy point of view from Wes Anderson especially, and so like there were some times when people were laughing when I didn't understand why, and I was like, was it the person behind? I was like, yes. And was it me? Yes. So it's like, okay.
it has that. I mean, the thing that's great about Wes Anderson as well is there are moments that are clearly funny to him that might not work for most people, but it makes his films really interesting, and there's definitely some really dry humour in this that will either work for you or not.
Yeah,
but
like you were saying about that laughter, though, I think that's one of those like great things about fandom, which is like when you find your niche of something you like, and you're so susceptible to like, you know, like you hadn't obviously seen it before, so you didn't know those jokes were coming or anything, but like you just kind of let your guard down to just truly enjoy like a piece of work by someone you like. It's nice. It's nice to see that still, and it resonate like that.
Yeah.
Is it a similar tone to Fantastic Mr. Fox? 'Cause I love that.
It is quite similar.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it doesn't have the same source material, obviously. So it's.
I'd say it's slightly darker.
Yeah.
It's not as laugh out loud
Okay.
funny. I think Fantastic Mr. Fox has more obvious kind of jokes, whereas this is a lot drier.
And I think this is kind of also more of a statement on our society,
Right.
whereas Fantastic Mr. Fox was a little bit, but not so much. But this is definitely that cultural comedy.
Yeah.
Not comedy, commentary.
Any famous voices? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
no.
some like
OMG, Corey.
it's one of those films where there's like someone doing a voice of a character that has 2 lines, and you're kind of like, they could have got anyone for that, but for fair play, they got this person.
It's Bill Murray. Jeff Goldblum is one of the best characters, I think.
You know, Frances McDormand.
Yeah, then there's Greta Gerwig, Yoko Ono, Bryan Cranston.
Oh, so yeah, I've seen some of the names. So they're in it all the way through. They're like main.
Some of them, yeah.
characters.
Some of them are.
I suppose. I mean, we always kind of. It seems like we get into this now with every film we talk about. Where do you stand on the whole controversy around it being offensive to Japanese culture and all of that? Or is this the first you're hearing of it?
I'm not very good at reading kind of reviews and stuff like that because I like to keep my own opinion. But I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of a celebration of it.
I felt exactly the same way, and it seems like every film that comes along now, there'll be something in it that upsets someone or so. But for me, I thought it was lovingly made and affectionate towards Japanese culture. And the only thing that I did find a bit strange was having the interpreter character all the way through.
I thought that wasn't going to happen. I thought you just weren't going to understand anything. Kind of like when the little pilot talks, how you don't understand what he's saying. I thought it was going to be like that throughout the whole movie.
Which I quite admired because
I liked that.
You still, after what you understood what was going on, and you didn't necessarily need those subtitles. I think it worked perfectly well.
Yeah. I then went, after I saw it, we went straight to the exhibition at the store, which they had, I think, like 20 of the sets from the movie, and it was incredible. Like being able to have seen the movie and then going to go see it and seeing the scale of it. And I took some pictures of some of them, and it just looks like it's life-size because of the detail of these things. And the brilliant symmetry. Oh my God, I can't speak this morning. Symmetry of all his shots in it, and it was just set up. It was so beautiful. It was amazing. I loved it.
We should do more tie-ins like that. I mean, I'm not sure if I wonder what percentage of movies get an exhibition the same weekend they're out.
Not,
But down on the South Bank and near the BFI, you'd like to think they could do more and more of that kind of really cool stuff like that. Especially as clearly you got something out of going to see it.
Yeah,
you know.
I think it's great because the exhibition opened before the movie did. But definitely going to see the movie first and then seeing the exhibition really brought it to life, because you're like, oh, it was that scene, it was that.
Yeah.
And then it's like the bit where the plane crashes, they have that plane crash on the newspapers and the detail. So every bit of paper on that had writing on it, and there was everything. And you could smell the burn from the paper was still on there. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I loved how the fights were done.
Yes.
Just the clouds and all the limbs kind of poking out was brilliant.
So good. So yes, I highly recommend that movie if you have not seen it yet, because it's brilliant. What else do you do?
So that was the only film I saw at the cinema, but I've watched a few others. So I watched, there's a fantastic documentary at the moment. It's on Sky Atlantic. It's HBO, and it's called Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling.
Yes, two-parter.
And I adored it. It's directed by Judd Apatow.
Oh, wicked.
And it's long. It's 4 hours long.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big watch. But I would say that even if you're not a massive fan of Gary Shandling, or if you're not aware of his work, it's still worth watching.
Yeah.
A lot of the themes it deals with are very accessible, and I think a lot of it you can kind of draw on in your own experiences. And it's beautifully made. It's Judd Apatow was one of his best friends, and it's just a really intimate documentary, which I love.
Spanning his career.
Yep, everything. So it kind of goes from his early life through to Larry Sanders, it's Gary Shandling show, through to things like all the way up to comedians in cars getting coffee, and his brilliant the interview he did with Ricky Gervais, which I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's the most cringeworthy thing you'll ever see. But yeah, it's a fantastic documentary.
Yeah.
Really
The Larry
good.
Sanders show, and has been for over a decade now, easily one of my favourite shows. It so ahead of its time.
Yep.
With the best, most amazing cast and all that are all huge, and it's just a near perfect show in my opinion, and also groundbreaking for the format that it did and all that. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Massively, and I think that's one of the things the documentary does really well, is that it has a lot of those people who appeared in that show talking about how it influenced them, and some of the comedians who have produced things since that have been influenced by it. And so it's fantastic. Really recommend that.
Cool. Ben, what have you been watching?
I watched The Commuter because I'm sure I've said before I've got a love for train movies. I think I said that around, Murder on the Orient Express or whatever, and so this was another one. Interesting movie. Again, it's quite funny. Liam Neeson's obviously now 60 and he's an action hero. There's no two way about it. It's quite sad that I'm obviously less and less of the movie is him, because you often, in fact, when we talk about Naked Gun 33 and a third, they do those amazing body doubles where he'll take his shirt off and it'll be someone else's back. But it's so brilliant. And they've been doing that gag since the first one, but there's definitely moments in that where suddenly Liam Neeson is jumping around backflipping and stuff, but you kind of wonder where you're why have that? You just tone it all down. You don't need to have him fighting 4 people amazingly. Just kind of simplify it all a little bit. But the movie's basically about he's kind of
commuter.
Huh?
He's a commuter.
No, he's asked to. Some lady comes up and goes, "What would you do if you were given the opportunity to kill someone and get $100,000 for doing it?" And he just, of one of those typical movies, that morning he'd lost his job and everything had gone wrong kind of thing, and it's the choices he makes. I won't give it away, not that it's brilliant and not worth giving away, but
I was just intrigued by the title, because
it's the most boring title
for me,
anyone
when I first saw the ad on the side of a bus, I thought, oh, it's like one of those take the piss ads for when you're actually a commuter. I don't know, would have been something from mocking one of these action movies about someone going to work.
I quite like that though. It's like when you have an action film, but the lead character's name is Clive. There's something about that really dull title with this. But is it like a full-on action?
It's a full-on action movie, spoilers, but there's massive train explosions and turns out whatever he thought was doing has been everyone's double-crossed him. He's just some bloke on a train, but everyone's double-crossed him. And there was some really nice elements to it, and insular, because obviously it's stuck on this kind of thing. But then obviously it's no Taken. But it's nice to see that eventually what will be left? Like, what scenario will there be left for Liam Neeson to like fight his way out of? And that's what I'm kind of curious to the nth degree of his career where it will get to.
I've got a Liam Neeson film as well.
What's your one?
A Walk Among the Tombstones.
All right. That's an old
Yeah,
one.
slightly older one, but still same thing.
I heard that
Liam
was really
Neeson
good. That
Kicking
one.
ass.
Yeah.
He does it well. He's like an ex-cop.
Oh yeah,
And
he's ex-cop in
like-
this one as well. He was.
Yeah, and
But
he's like
he's always an ex-cop, isn't he?
He is.
Is that it? Do you reckon it's just?
Looks like-
Yeah, ex-bodyguard in Taken, I believe, but it's close.
Yeah. A particular set of skills he has. Either way,
Are they
in
slightly
every
different in this
film.
one?
Yeah.
One of those is not
So, yeah.
doing accents.
Yeah, it's true.
It definitely isn't. No, yeah.
Yeah.
I do love him.
Yeah.
He's quite fun. Okay, anything else that was good? You watched?
For me, main thing, Ready Player One.
I am. How was that?
I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great fun and a great time of year for it because there are many Easter eggs.
Oh,
look at that.
There you go.
Had you read the book?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Does it make you want to read the book? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, it makes you think. Is the book as crazy as the film? I mean, it's just there's.
Yes,
just,
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder how would you even keep up? I mean, as I said, there's so many references, but the premise is really good. I mean, it's like a better Avatar. I thought it's like in that kind of Oasis kind of world, and I thought Spielberg merged the real world and the Oasis, which is the virtual reality kind of world, merged that really well. It kind of just tied in quite seamlessly, kind of in and out. But most of the time spent in that Oasis area, and and if you kind of grown up within that kind of time of like video games and old school films, you'll absolutely kind of love it, I think. And it kind of addresses the kind of what we're going through now with this kind of virtual reality world and Twitch. You like a bit of Twitch and people watching
all day long.
People watching other people like and it kind of addresses that as well. But it's just done really well and a really good family film. I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Some
going to try
scary
and
bits
catch it
as well,
this. I'm going to try and catch it this weekend.
So, like Isle of Dogs, it's not one you have to see on big
Yeah.
screen, I think, because there's just so much going on. Like there's moments where there's just so much on screen that you're kind of like trying to take in as much as you can.
Yeah. I mean, the person who sorted the rights. I mean,
Yes.
they must be
I think it's
sunning it
just
on a beach
Spielberg's
somewhere.
power.
I mean,
All he would have gone is like, "Hi, I'm Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, can we
I
use
use
this?"
your logo?"
oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I heard an interview with him talking about it, and something that's not in the book, but he was like, discussing it with the guy who wrote it, and they were coming up with some scene and idea. And he goes, "Wouldn't it be amazing if that then, when you turned around, so and so was there?" And he was like, he was like, "I won't say what that's there," but he goes, "So I instantly got on trying to work out if we could remotely require the rights to like that."
I think there's one scene in particular. I won't spoil it. Because I think a lot of reviews have, and I think that's a shame. Because there's one scene that you don't want spoiled, and it's just brilliantly done. And it's if you're a fan of like classic movies,
I think I know which one you mean.
Yeah.
And it is worth it. It's very good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. I watched a few. I kind of went old school again, as usual. I watched Kill Bill Volume 1 and then Kill Bill Volume 2.
Nice.
Obviously.
It's second half. I always remember that the second movie, obviously, a much drop in pace.
Yes, it is.
Like
It's-
very much
it's
slower.
much more Western, whereas the first one is more set like the Japanese part, samurai stuff like that. Whereas the second one is much more drama. Excuse me, slow paced and more that Western style. Part of it, it depends on my mood which one I prefer. So I say when I'm after that drama and that kind of slow pace on, and because some of the script is brilliant in the second one, but then when you're after just some all-out action and kick-ass stuff, then definitely the first one. I also had to watch Anchorman because that's back on.
Yep, of course.
So yeah, 60% of the time it works every time.
Nice.
I watched Salt just because I don't know why.
Yep.
That's a fun action, and I always like watching it because the role was originally written for Tom Cruise, and so then when Angelina came in and took it over, it's like it's nice how it twists on that, and I think it's just so well done, and it just shows that it doesn't matter if it's a male or a female, it can still work, and I think she does a great job.
So I never watched that movie. I remember when it came out and everything, and I just remember thinking, it might be a bit. It's not just a throwaway action movie. It might be a bit serious and a bit. Is it like a fun rollick in the?
I think it's still
guns?
fun, and it's kind of who is who. Like you don't know who's good or bad throughout that whole movie. And it's done quite well.
Oh,
in
nice.
That. But it's solid 3-star movie.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's nothing brilliant
Yeah.
or different. It's still an action movie. There's some really great action sequences and that kind of stuff. But like Chiwetel Ejiofor's in it, Liev Schreiber. So it's got quite a good
Yeah,
cast.
yeah.
And it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah,
and like,
I
it's a
know.
good action movie.
And then I had that to my list of action.
I also watched
trash.
Going in Style, which was the new premiere with
Yep.
Ellen Arkin, Michael Caine, and Morgan Freeman. It's a bit of fun. It's quite
I was
sweet.
really surprised to see that it was directed by Zach Braff.
Yes, I know. When
Yeah.
it came up at the end credits, I was like, what?
Yeah, because he's made, I think, a couple of other movies. He's mainly known for Green State, which is like
Yeah.
really indie
Garden State, isn't
drama.
it?
Sorry, Garden
Green-
State. Green
Green
State,
State.
is something very
Yeah,
different.
isn't that a thug movie
that's-
or something?
yes.
That's Green,
Yes.
that's Green Street.
Oh, is
Green
that Green
Street.
State?
I think I've invented
Green
Green
State.
State.
Not Green Zone. Is it?
Maybe
Sounds like
on,
Green Card.
Yeah. But yes, yeah, it was interesting that he was attached to that. But-
Yeah.
And it's a remake, isn't it?
I don't
believe.
know, is
I
it?
believe it's a remake, yeah, of
Okay.
it's like 70s movie or something. But
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
great cast.
Yeah, it was a great cast. Like, they're also watchable. It's nice, enjoyable.
Nice.
I quite liked it. Watched Free Fire as well on Store. So
Nice.
That was I really liked that. That was very funny.
Yeah.
I love that it's all just in that kind of one warehouse.
Oh, it's
I love those
great,
simple
great
films.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really enjoyed it.
It's
absolutely.
brilliant. I watched Battle of the Sexes as well, which is the tennis one with Emma Stone and Steve Carell. They're based on the true story of Billie Jean King and Bobby, what's his face? I don't know. I can't remember his last
Bobby
name.
Jean.
No,
I wished
it's
his
Billie
name was
Jean
that.
King,
Oh, sorry.
and it's Bobby something.
Right.
I want to say Parker, but it's not Parker. Playing the infamous tennis match in the 70s about women trying to get the same amount of pay in tennis as men. They still don't have that, but obviously it was a huge step change in there, and it started
Riggs.
Bobby Riggs, thank you. And it started the wave of feminism and stuff, and it was really interesting because especially how he tried to embrace being a male chauvinistic pig, which she's amazing. Like, to be able to stand up to the establishment. She left, kind of got kicked out of the tennis association in America because she wanted to have equal pay, or at least be
Yeah.
in some kind of realm the same thing. Because they were being paid, I think it was eight times less than a man. And for playing the same, and they brought in the same crowd. So her thing was, well, we're still getting the tickets sold, so why is it not
Yeah.
the same? And she just stood up to them, and helped form their own association, which is, I think, was the Women's Tennis Association, and they all got like $1, and that was how they started it, and then started their own tour. And then it came on about that she then played Bobby Riggs. So it was amazing, and so it's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think the
what-
documentary might be better, but they're both. I think Emma Stone and Steve Carell are really watchable,
Yeah.
and they're both really good in these roles. So
I really wanted to see it when it came out, but it just seemed to disappear quite quickly because it was a kind of being tipped as an Oscars contender,
and then it
and then
kinda
just
didn't.
didn't.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And the other great thing is at the end, it's the directors. It's directed by a male and a female, so it's kind of that same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So I quite like that. It was quite clever. So yeah, and
They
then
were battling it out in the edit suite where they
yeah, we're doing this one. No.
She's like, I'm going to kiss them.
Yeah, so that's really good. And then I also watched That Thing You Do.
Ah,
If
nice.
you haven't watched, I watched a lot. It was raining.
I've
and-
never seen it, but I could probably sing that entire
That
'cause
song
I know,
is
that,
so off, like so much in the film. You hear it.
Yeah.
It's
I think that was the most brilliant thing about that
Yeah.
movie is that you have made a movie that has such a catchy one-hit wonder
Yeah.
song that it's so real that could be that one-hit wonder of that band.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even when they have the other songs in it, they're not as good as that one or as catchy. And it's so clever how it's done.
yeah.
And I also watched Despicable Me 3, which was okay.
But-
Yeah. Would anyone else like to say anything else about any other movie that they've watched?
Paddington 2.
Well, it's got to get in there.
Paddington 2.
Can't
That's all you're
silence
gonna
it.
say.
Yes, awesome family movie. Feel good. I enjoyed it. I really did.
Okay.
I love Paddington 1 anyway, so.
All right, and Steve, you've also given that movie a raving
yes.
review. So
Watch it.
Okay, Ben, any last words?
I've not seen it, but it sounds brilliant. I give it 10 out of 10 too. I do. Definitely go watch it.
You'd be the one person not to if you didn't.
Going back to Spielberg as well, there's been some movie news around him saying hey, maybe we should get a female Indiana Jones and call her Indiana Joan.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
And all I can say is, my last name is Jones.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
works.
Yeah,
Okay?
it could just
She
be
could
Jones.
still be Indiana Jones.
Kind of like say this really
that's
positive, cool
brilliant.
thing,
That's-
and then undercut it with a kind of crap joke.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that's the thing. I heard that, like, because didn't Shia LaBeouf come out slagging off Spielberg a while ago? So he's not returned. He's not getting it. So I guess they need to
weird.
start from scratch again.
But,
in
but
some,
you don't need to recast it as a woman just because they think it's PC or whatever. It's an iconic male role. You do not, and it's not one of those ones where you just change it because you can write that into the script. Like Doctor Who, fine, because
Yeah.
that can happen.
Yeah.
But
007 can happen. Yeah.
007 can happen, can it?
Well, you can keep changing those. It kind of naturally. I think.
I don't know. I still find it weird. I think it's just write some strong characters
Mm-hmm.
for females that can also run their own franchises. Stop trying to remake things that are already men and have been known, because all you're going to do is off men who are male chauvinistic things.
Oh, yes, we are.
That are just going to say, why a woman remaking everything?
Yeah.
But just write the same thing, but for a woman that's completely different.
Yeah.
You know, you can have new ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Or just write a good character that isn't Indiana Jones as a woman. Why don't they just be like,
Yeah.
it's someone he meets that carries on his legacy?
Because
Like,
isn't Indiana Jones as a woman just Lara Croft?
yeah,
yeah,
that's-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very true. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, like this need to like it needs to be associated with the name, because in 3 movies' time we still need to be able to call it Indiana Jones, and so it has to have the it's real cling to
Yeah.
to
I think,
stuff that.
I think that's what I'm not a fan of in this age of Hollywood, is that everything, when you write a film or like make one, it has to be franchisable.
Yeah.
I made up a word.
Yeah. No.
Just because like you can't just like that's. I think that's why I like 3 Billboards, Lady Bird, like these kind of movies that are coming out. They're strong roles for everyone in the movie, but also that they're not thinking about, what are we going to make next? It's like, just make that one movie in
Yeah.
Shape of Water. It's like, can we just stop with the franchises?
Yeah.
Like, just make a good standalone movie.
Yeah.
Anyone else heard any other news that they want to talk about? No?
There's been some John Boyega news, hasn't there? That's quite. He's trying to become the franchise king, I think, because he might be starring in an MCU movie.
Yeah,
There's
good on
rumours.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I was going to say, like, I know he's in Pacific Rim 2, isn't he? And everyone says that role really suits him and tonally, because I've not really been that big a fan of him in the Star Wars. I mean, I was, because when I first saw the trailers for the first Star Wars movie and all that, I was like, kind of like, he's going to give all our Han Solo reactions, like all of the kind of what kind of stuff will be what he'll do. But 2 movies in, and like I've not really seen him in much else. I'm like,
Attack the Block. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he got famous.
Yeah, I thought it was
Brilliant.
great.
It's
in-
good to
in
see that he's using he's just doing his own accent in Pacific Rim, which I thought was good. Like, because we've Attack the Block as well, but we're so used to him doing that kind of big Hollywood Star Wars, doing the American accent now. So it was good to see him being proper, Peckham in Pacific
You have to
Rim.
kind of work at it, because like Idris Elba had to go
Yeah,
go
yeah.
backwards. Really, it took him
Yeah.
ages to get like an English kind of role. Get his hackney, get his hackney on. Yeah.
Get his hackney on.
I like
Brilliant.
Get my hackney on. Cool. Well, we also have some great films coming up on Now TV this month. So today is the 6th of April, and your movie premiere of the day is The Hurricane Heist, which stars Maggie Grace and Ben's favourite movie, Taken. She's also in.
Yes, she is.
And it's also available at the same time as in cinemas. So it's a Sky Cinema original film. Then tomorrow is the Emoji Movie. Next Friday is Alien Covenant. Then on Saturday it's The House, which is a comedy with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. Got the Batman: The Killing Joke. So
Yeah,
perfect
that will be
timing.
brilliant.
So that's on the 15th. There's The Dark Tower, which is Idris and Matthew McConaughey. Rough Night on the 21st, which is a comedy with Scarlett Johansson and one of the girls from Broad City. And Kate McKinnon, I think it is. Then on the 27th, we've got Girls Trip, which is the critically acclaimed female-led comedy with Jada Pinkett Smith and Tiffany Haddish. There's Captain Underpants, the first big movie, on the 28th. And then Brawl in Cell Block 99. And I only mentioned this because I know that, Ben, you watched that and you loved it. With Vince Vaughn.
I loved Brawl in Cell Block 99. I know it's I looked at it, I was like, I gotta wait till the end of the month to watch it again.
It's the Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, this is the Vince
Okay.
Vaughn one. But it's also the director of it did a really good film before that as well. I can't remember what it is. If you could have a little look, Steve. But it's an absolutely brilliant film. I would recommend it to everyone. It's like it has this amazing feel of like 70s 80s kind of grindhouse.
He directed Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk, which is that amazing Kurt
Yeah.
Russell cannibal movie about cowboys. So like I loved his first film. The soundtrack to that movie, the first one's brilliant. And Brawl and Cellblock 99 just has this incredible, like, simple story that just escalates, like, insanely. And it's just about this guy. He's got to kill someone who's in the most dangerous prison in Cell Block 99. And it's about how Vince Vaughn starts in a normal prison and has to get to this guy. And
awesome.
it is absolutely brilliant. It's got some great characters. It's, like, really nasty and horrible. And, like, some of the violence in it is insane.
Bone Tomahawk had
exactly
some of the worst things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, and it's just a real treat, not only to like get these movies on Now TV, but also like just to know that they're coming, and you know that there's people that make, and Vince Vaughn's in them. Do you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And he's brilliant. And the only thing with it is some of the fighting is a little stiff because you know he's 6 foot, he's huge, isn't it? And I guess to learn to then be an action actor at like 45 must be a little hard.
Like Liam Neeson.
Yeah, just like, but I'll shut up about it. But honestly, it's a brilliant
Well,
film.
it's on the 29th of April.
Yeah,
so you
everyone
can all-
watch that.
Everyone get watching.
Udo Kier's in it as well, so I'm sold.
Who?
Udo Kier, German actor. He's like he's
he's
loads,
in every
he's been loads
movie.
of terrible cult
Yes,
movies.
yes,
but-
he is. Yes,
Yeah.
plays the guy special.
Yes, yeah.
Always, he's always like a real sadist
Yeah.
as well, isn't he? In
Yeah.
any movie, yeah.
Talking of sadism, not really.
Our favourite topic.
Every month we have a random movie which we have to watch, and this month it was Naked Gun 33 and a third. What were our feelings?
I watched all three.
Nice,
As
nice,
it-
good.
Yeah, because it just so happened I was with my family over bank holiday, and it was one of the films we used to watch when we was younger because it's it's perfect film to watch with your dad because
Yeah.
it's really crude and silly. So we decided to watch the second one, and then we kind of we did it in a weird order. Watch the second one first, then watch the first one, then watch the third one. Which I don't know why, but it doesn't really matter too much. And yeah, it was. I think they're just all really enjoyable. Like the third
Which
one,
is your favourite?
I think the first one. I think it is in order of how they go 1, 2, and 3. But I still think the third one's great. I know some people see it as the kind of weakest, but I think there's so much. It's consistently funny all the way through.
Yeah, I'd always remember the third one as not being the one where the jokes went a little bit ruder and weren't as, because I mean, admittedly, a lot from the first two are all taken from the TV series, and in my opinion, honestly, the first two are like they're the best spoof films, along with like Hot Shots Part Dur and National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon. Like all of those are like my favourites, and the third one, we were rewatching it the other day, actually made me laugh more than I remember. Like that whole beginning bit, with the stuff
With
going
the-
down the
with the
stairs,
prams,
with the prams and all of the untouchables, and how stupid it actually gets is like the bit where the bit where they go like the Pope starts going down, and then the terrorist and the noise that terrorist is making as he's coming. It's like so funny, and I was just like, I was like, I think some of it's beats as a story and as a movie I didn't like, but all of the jokes they managed to fit in around
think
actually
it's kinda
did have
like
me laughing.
The joke's running a bit thin by that point,
Yeah.
but there's still lots of bits that will make you laugh out loud.
I'm
And-
going to disagree.
No, you didn't laugh
Yeah.
out loud.
I didn't laugh once. I think I smiled at the opening scene because that's the bit that I remember the most. And the homage to the Untouchables and how it just gets so silly. But yeah, I felt the jokes were very dated. I felt slightly offended. It's very early 90s and very politically incorrect,
Yeah,
especially now.
I was going to say all three of them. It's like I remember seeing them in the 90s. They were quite offensive, and now it's doubly so. There are a lot of gags that you kind of go, "Oof, that would not." No one would consider
and
that.
it's like, why is that funny? It's like, okay, you kissed a trans person, so you need to vomit.
Oh
Why?
no!
Yeah.
Oh no! The
Yeah.
third,
Yeah.
the third one, like there was a lot more, like you say, you watch it and there's jokes that totally miss.
But that was like the 90s. There was loads of those kind of transphobic gags. I mean,
Yeah.
one that people often point to now, which is
Ace
really
Ventura,
unsettling.
Pet
Ace
Detective.
Ventura, yeah. Like the end of that, it's just you think, how was this? You know,
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's
Kind of
unbelievable.
anything that was like considered unmanly was
Yeah.
was like
And
terrible.
Friends, obviously,
it was a bit of a
people
joke, wasn't it?
spoke about with Friends recently, having lots of transphobic gags. So, but yeah, the naked gun it is quite offensive. It doesn't.
Open-
you know.
Only the
Yeah,
third
no,
one. I don't.
yeah.
I mean, maybe the first two. I don't really remember the first two being that bad.
There are things, there are gags that you definitely wouldn't. You know, you feel
Right.
quite bad. If, you know, even the ones that do make you laugh, you kind of think I shouldn't be laughing at that. But yeah, different time.
Because I remember liking them as a kid, but it's weird when you watch it now. You do worry about what your parents were doing that let you watch them.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I was less than 10 watching these movies,
Yeah.
and there is so much innuendo, and sometimes just complete outright
Yeah.
stuff about sex,
Yeah.
and you're like, how is this possible?
The sperm donor scene.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, what? Why
Yeah.
would my parents let me watch this? What
I mean,
bad parenting.
For me, and I think this is true of the first two as well, it's the silliest gags that make me laugh, less than the kind of pop culture references and the offensive stuff. It's the kind of silly sight gags and all that stuff. And there are moments in the third one that I think work on that level.
But like you said, just really quickly, you know, whenever in the first two they go to the lab and they see the thing, you know,
Yeah.
like the Q-like character, they're always great. And in this one, like, wasn't funny, and
No,
it went for
yeah.
a poo gag, a wee gag,
Yeah.
and then a crotch gag. And I was like, they didn't do that in the first. In the first
Yeah.
two, it just had the actually funny little scenes,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do we think about OJ being in it and like watching it now?
Yeah,
It's a great expression.
he does have amazing expression.
Great
you're right,
expression,
yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a tough one. He does have some funny scenes. I mean, the first one for me has his funniest scene where they're on that barge and he kind of storms in and there's all those traps and everything and he kind of gets the bear trap on his foot and then falls into the cake and then goes off the edge of the
puts his
boat.
hand on the
on the stove.
and then he hits the cake. That scene is brilliant.
But yeah,
His timing's good.
It's weird. It's weird.
My favourite gag of all of those shows, actually, is when Frank walks into like a crime scene and the captain goes like, "Oh, Frank, she's over there, but she's been a little knocked up, so be careful." And he walks over, and it's like Quasimodo sitting there, and he's like, "All right, ma'am, how are you?" He's like, "Not that bad, Frank." It's always like that level of gag is.
Your level.
Yeah, I still laugh. It's
my level.
I still laughed out loud through quite a few bits, and then which is it doesn't happen that often in a lot of comedies nowadays. So
I do like the way it kind of parodies that film noir narration, where you kind of have those lines that are just so ridiculous.
Like Humphrey Bogart kind of
Yeah.
style.
And the fact that the iconic police siren ended up down the Star Wars trench. I was like, when I was like, because I forgot that they did it. I was like, where does it go on the third one? And I was like, oh, it's amazing they got it into the Star Wars trench.
Yeah.
I was like, that's brilliant.
When you reach, that level, you've done like that many sequels, always go to space. That's the rule.
Obviously. Right, well, are we all excited to see what we're going to be
Oh, I
watching
can't
this
wait.
month? We've had a few good ones recently, so it might be...
No, we've had a lot of thirds in trilogy. Well, we've back-to-back third in trilogies.
Yes,
Yeah.
90s,
90s
mediocre comedies.
Okay, so let's see what it's going to be this time. Oh, okay. Who likes family animation?
Is it Paddington or Paddington 2?
No, because they're not available on
Damn
TV.
Is it?
Think Australian.
Oh, Blinky Bill.
Yes. Look
Okay.
at that. So now the funny thing about this show is that it used to be a TV show for kids in my part of the world. And so I used to grow up watching Blinky Bill.
Bill.
And it has a great theme song. It goes, "I'm Blinky Bill. My whole life's a thrill." And then I don't remember the rest of it. But that's all
Let's
I
hope
remember.
they've jazzed that
Yeah.
up.
It's got like Sum 41 or something.
But I'm sure like that someone that voices it is someone famous as well.
What, Bill himself?
I don't know. It's I thought I read somewhere that it was someone famous. Ryan Quanten. Okay, he might not be that famous, but so he is also in the Hurricane Heist, which is the movie premiere this week. But he's most famous for True Blood, where he plays Sookie's brother. Yeah, sugar. He mainly has his shirt off, which is helpful.
Oh, yes.
And
Home and Away.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
used to be in Home and Away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's been in a few other movies.
He
indie
has.
movies
He's
and-
done one. I can't remember what he's done. One where he plays a cop in some like horror movie I watched. Yeah, he's quite good. I don't mind the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also got Barry Humphries as a voice, who, if you don't know, that is Dame Edna Everage.
I love. Hello, possums.
Yes.
Isn't it? And
You do that quite well.
Go on.
All right, so we'll all be watching Blinky Bill, the movie, this month, so that's something to look forward to. So that's it for this month. We've got loads of great movies coming up in May as well. We've got Dunkirk, Anon, Atomic Blonde, War for the Planet of the Apes, and much, much more. So we'll be talking about that next month. So until then, happy movie watching.